Imagine waking up in the deadliest oven on Earth. Searing heat, mind-bending mirages, and a desperate fight for your life. What if you had to survive 24 hours in the Sahara? Welcome to a different world.
Part 1. Dawn and the Thermodynamic Awakening. You open your eyes, and the first sensation that strikes you isn't the oppressive heat you anticipated. It is a bone-chilling, biting cold. You pull your jacket tighter as the ambient temperature hovers just above freezing. As you stand, the sand beneath your boots feels stiff, holding a microscopic layer of moisture dangerously close to frost. The silence surrounding you is absolute. It is a heavy, ancient quiet, completely devoid of the hum of civilization. The endless sea of dunes is trapped in a monochromatic twilight of deep indigo and pale grey, waiting patiently for the sun. How can the world's most infamous solar oven mimic an icebox? The secret lies in a fascinating interplay of thermodynamics and atmospheric physics. Sand, composed mostly of silicon dioxide, has an exceptionally low specific heat capacity. It requires very little energy to heat up, but conversely, it cannot retain that thermal energy. When the sun vanishes, the sand instantly begins hemorrhaging its stored heat. Yet, the true architect of this freezing dawn is the hyper-arid sky above. In temperate climates, water vapor acts as a natural thermal blanket, trapping infrared radiation and keeping the night warm. The Sahara, however, lacks this atmospheric insulation. With near zero humidity, the heat absorbed by the dunes during the day is forcefully expelled directly into the vacuum of space through a phenomenon known as radiative cooling. You are essentially standing beneath an open atmospheric window, exposed to the cosmos. Suddenly, the edge of the world catches fire. A piercing strip of crimson bleeds across the eastern horizon. The indigo shadows rapidly retreat as the dunes are painted in a spectacular, sweeping gold. You can physically feel the first rays of the sun touching your face. But that comforting warmth is a deception. The temperature is already beginning its aggressive vertical ascent. The Sahara has awakened, and your 24-hour trial has officially begun. Part 2. Morning and the invisible metropolis. By 9 a.m. the temperature has already surged past a comfortable 25 degrees Celsius and is climbing relentlessly. As you begin your trek across the shifting dunes, the landscape feels utterly barren, a completely different world seemingly devoid of life. But as you look closer at the wind-rippled sand, a complex network of tiny, delicate footprints reveals a hidden metropolis. A sudden blur of movement catches your eye, a small fennec fox darting desperately toward the shade of a solitary, desiccated scrub before the sand becomes too hot to touch. How does life endure in an environment that actively tries to extinguish it? The answer lies in millions of years of rigorous evolutionary biology. Survival in the Sahara is not about fighting the environment, it is about outsmarting it. The fennec fox, for instance, possesses remarkably oversized ears that serve a vital physiological purpose. They are highly vascularized, acting as living radiators. As blood flows through the dense network of capillaries in these ears, the surrounding air dissipates the body heat, cooling the animal down through vasodilation without the need to sweat, a luxury that would waste precious water. Furthermore, hydration here is a masterclass in metabolic efficiency. Many of the insects and rodents scurrying just beneath your boots never drink liquid water in their entire lives. Instead, they rely almost entirely on metabolic water, moisture synthesized internally as a biochemical byproduct of breaking down the carbohydrates and fats in the dry seeds or insects they consume. Their bodies have become incredibly specialized, extracting every microscopic drop of H2O, while their kidneys excrete highly concentrated, nearly dry waste to prevent any moisture loss. As the sun inches higher, baking the ground, the tracks abruptly end. The desert's inhabitants have retreated deep underground into intricate burrow systems, where the sand temperature remains remarkably cool and stable. The brief morning rush hour is over. You are now entirely alone under the blinding, cloudless sky, and the real heat is only just beginning. Part 3. High Noon and the Illusions. By 1 p.m., the Sahara transforms from a challenging landscape into an active, merciless furnace. The ambient air temperature eclipses 50 degrees Celsius, but the sand itself is scorching at nearly 80 degrees Celsius, hot enough to cause severe burns through thin soles. Your canteen is half empty. Every breath you take feels like inhaling exhaust from a combustion engine, instantly parching your throat. As you trudge forward, desperation sets in, and suddenly salvation appears on the horizon, a shimmering, rippling lake of pristine blue water. You quicken your pace, but the faster you walk, the further the lake recedes, until it vanishes completely into dry, mocking dust. You haven't lost your mind. You have just been deceived by an inferior mirage, a classic optical phenomenon driven by extreme temperature gradients. In the desert, the sand heats the layer of air immediately above it to extreme temperatures. Because hot air is significantly less dense than cooler air, it possesses a lower refractive index. When sunlight travels from the cooler, denser air higher in the atmosphere down toward the superheated layer near the ground, it doesn't travel in a straight line. Instead, the light waves are refracted, bent upward in a U-shape toward the observer's eye. The water, you see, is actually an optical illusion formed by the refracted image of the blue sky above. This physical behavior is elegantly governed by Snell's law, mathematically expressed as n1 sine of θ1 equals n2 sine of θ2, detailing how light bends as it crosses boundaries between mediums of varying densities. Meanwhile, your own biology is waging a desperate war against thermal equilibrium. To maintain a core temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, your hypothalamus triggers massive vasodilation and profuse sweating. However, in the hyper-arid atmospheric conditions, your sweat evaporates the millisecond it reaches your skin. While this evaporative cooling is highly efficient, it rapidly depletes your body's blood volume. The physiological toll of this severe dehydration means your heart must pump significantly faster to deliver oxygen, leading to the early, dizzying stages of heat exhaustion. The sky above offers no mercy. The air is growing thick, and the horizon is beginning to blur. Part 4. Afternoon and the shifting sands. By 4 p.m., the suffocating stillness of the afternoon is abruptly shattered. A sudden, erratic gust of wind whips across the dunes, carrying the sharp sting of airborne sand against your exposed skin. You look toward the eastern horizon and your heart sinks. A towering, apocalyptic wall of deep orange and brown is rolling toward you, rapidly swallowing the sky. The temperature drops noticeably as the sun is blotted out, casting an eerie amber twilight over the desert. You have mere minutes to prepare for a haboob, a violent and massive dust storm. You drop to your knees, pull your scarf tightly over your nose and mouth, and curl into a tight posture against the leeward side of a large dune, bracing for the deafening impact. The mechanics behind this terrifying meteorological phenomenon are rooted in extreme atmospheric convection. Haboobs are frequently triggered by the collapse of distant thunderstorms. As rain falls from a high-altitude thundercloud, it cools the surrounding air through evaporation. Because cold air is significantly denser than warm air, it plummets toward the ground in a powerful downdraft known as a microburst. When this dense, cold air hits the parched desert floor, it violently rushes outward at hurricane-force speeds, scooping up millions of tons of loose topsoil and fine silica particles into the atmosphere. Yet, As you struggle to breathe through the roaring darkness, you are sitting in the middle of one of the most vital ecological delivery systems on the planet. This swirling dust is not just useless dirt. Millions of tons of this nutrient-rich, phosphorus-laden sediment, particularly from ancient dried lake beds like the Bodele Depression, are swept into the upper atmosphere. Caught in the powerful transatlantic trade winds, this massive dust plume travels over 4,000 kilometers across the ocean. Its final destination? The Amazon basin. The Sahara's airborne minerals act as a crucial natural fertilizer, replenishing the heavily rained-out soils of the dense South American rainforest. In a profound, beautiful paradox of Earth's systems, the most barren expanse on the globe literally breathes life into its most vibrant, lush ecosystem. Part 5. Dusk and the cooling horizon. By 6:30 p.m., the violent howling of the Haboob finally subsides into a gentle, exhausted whisper. You carefully unwrap your scarf, spitting out the grit that has inevitably coated your teeth and tongue. The world around you has been radically reshaped. Familiar dunes have vanished, replaced by entirely new topographies carved by the wind. But as you stand up, shaking the heavy layer of dust from your jacket, a profound sense of relief washes over you. The oppressive vertical heat is breaking. The sun is sinking rapidly toward the western horizon, and the sky is beginning to ignite in a breathtaking cinematic display of color. The transition from the blinding white glare of noon to the deep, saturated hues of twilight is not merely poetic, it is a masterclass in atmospheric optics, specifically a phenomenon known as Rayleigh scattering. During the day, when the sun is directly overhead, its light travels through a relatively thin layer of the Earth's atmosphere. Because air molecules, primarily nitrogen and oxygen, are much smaller than the wavelengths of visible light, they scatter the shorter, more energetic blue and violet wavelengths in all directions. This scattering effect is why the midday sky appears brilliantly blue to the human eye. However, as the sun approaches the horizon, the angle of illumination changes dramatically. The incoming sunlight must now travel through a significantly thicker slice of the atmosphere to reach your eyes. This extended journey means that almost all of the shorter blue and green wavelengths are scattered away long before they reach you. What remains are the longer, less energetic wavelengths, the vibrant reds, deep oranges, and warm yellows. In the Sahara, this effect is spectacular. The millions of microscopic dust particles suspended in the air by the recent storm amplify the scattering, painting the sky and the rolling dunes in a surreal, fiery glow. For a few fleeting, magical minutes, the brutal desert transforms into an artist's canvas, offering a moment of quiet, awe-inspiring beauty before the inevitable return of the freezing dark. Part 6. Nightfall and the cosmic silence. By 9 p.m., the fleeting warmth of the sunset is a distant memory, and the desert has come full circle. The biting, desolate cold of the early morning returns with a vengeance as the sand rapidly surrenders its remaining thermal energy to the atmosphere. You huddle closely around a small, crackling fire fueled by dry scrub brush, the only source of light and warmth in an otherwise impenetrable darkness. But as you tilt your head upward, the true majesty of the Sahara reveals itself. The sky is no longer a void. It is a staggering, overwhelming canopy of billions of stars, so dense and brilliant that they cast faint, silvery shadows on the dunes around you. This breathtaking spectacle is only possible due to the complete absence of artificial illumination. In urban environments, scattered artificial light reflects off atmospheric particles, creating a phenomenon known as sky glow that drowns out the cosmos. Astronomers measure this using the Bortle scale, which ranges from Class 9, inner city skies where only the brightest stars are visible, to Class 1, an exquisitely dark sky. The deep Sahara represents a perfect Class 1 environment. Here, the Milky Way isn't just a faint, milky smudge. It is a highly structured, luminous band stretching from horizon to horizon, revealing complex dust lanes and the glowing galactic core situated some 26,000 light-years away. In this profound cosmic silence, the day's brutal struggle for survival feels incredibly small. The extreme thermal dynamics, the specialized biology of the hidden ecosystem, the optical illusions, and the violent atmospheric currents, they are all just localized phenomena on a tiny, rocky planet suspended in a vast, indifferent universe. You pull your jacket tighter against the freezing night, exhausted but deeply humbled. You have survived 24 hours in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, a grueling but beautiful testament to the delicate, miraculous balance of science and life.